Good day and welcome back to more Rome 2 multiplayer action. Here we have my Carthaginian army, and we've got a 3v3 going. We have Comrade Drago and his Syracusans in the center, and we have the Athenian army under Mr. Patrick out to the left. We have a Suebi opponent, a Parthian opponent, and I believe this is the Lusitani. So I'll go through what I have, and I'll go through in short form what everyone else has. I don't want to go through everything unit by unit. I have 3 African pikes and 3 militia hoplites, who I've put all out onto one side, figuring that I'll just butt my flank up against Drago's army here. They are protecting these 3 Balearic slingers, and I wanted to have Balearic slingers instead of Peltis or something like that, because I knew we had a Parthian army to deal with, and I figured they'd be very dangerous against horse skirmishers. I've elected to use a general and bodyguard instead of putting him in my elephants or in, a noble cav or something like that. I've got 2 mercenary Gallic hunters, a nice, cheap, and reasonably effective sword unit. 3 Carthaginian cavalry and 2 campaigning cavalry, and of course my African war elephants. Drago has a couple of mercenary companions as well, 3 of them, and his generals are Payas Lancers. And he's got a main line, just mostly swords. I think they're Samnites, with some veteran hoplites flanking and a line of Balearic slingers. Pretty straightforward build. And Patrick has, with Athens, a whole bunch of hoplites. He's got a couple of these picked hoplites holding the edges, and a line of hoplites basically protecting 4 Cretan archers and then 4 citizen cavalry. So what we can see so far of the Lusitani, they've actually got another slinger unit that you can't see. So he's got 4 Balearics to my 3. A couple Scutarii spearmen here in the middle, and a couple of guerrilla spearmen hiding out here. And somewhere around here he's got about 4 units. They're probably up over this crest where we can't see them yet. But he's got 4 units of the Scutarii cavalry, the Iberian cavalry rather, and then a force of 5 or 6 veteran shield warriors and a unit of Lusitani nobles. The Suebi's got this 1 unit of light cav. He's got a couple of heavy noble riders, and he's got some night hunters infiltrated up here. Then the rest of his army is pretty much sword masters, and he's got about 4 or 5 of these berserker units as well. And Partha, unsurprisingly, has a couple of cheap melee units, whack of noble cavalry, and then a whole whack of armored horse archers, and 1 noble horse archer. So let's go to real time and see what happens. Now, this is another battle that was lagging quite a bit. The 3v3s tend to do that, which on the plus side gives you plenty of time to micro, so you really don't have to worry too much about having to give orders quickly. Yeah, see, there's that Iberian cav and the Lusitani guerrillas. So this is not a very dangerous unit, but if it gets into a fight helping out his cavalry, it might give my Carthaginian cavalry a run for their money. So he's got them and 1 Scutarii spearman over here to help out these kind of low-grade cavalry. Now they got pretty good attack in that, the Iberians do. They just don't have much armor, so they don't stand up in a fight against cavalry very well. Hence the presence of the spearmen. It's a pretty good strategy. I've used similar strategy myself on occasion. But the immediate action is coming over here as the Suebi are clearly out here with a rush build. And he's also got some spears on the flank with his Germanic scout riders, presumably to try to head off all these citizen cavalry that Patrick has. Patrick wants to use all these Cretans to try to skirmish. He's got 6 of these Cretan archers, 5 of these Cretan archers rather. So he wants to extend the skirmishing, and the Suebi player wants no part of that. So the name of the game for him is just going to be to get berserkers, get sword masters into melee with all these hoplite units, and just wear them down. So Drago's trying to support with some campaigning cav to help out against these noble riders, because really these citizen cav don't have the slightest chance against them. And these hoplites are about to be very busy fighting off all these swords. So meanwhile, on my flank, the skirmishing has started, but I want to at least show you these guys rushing in. And this is a fight we really don't want. These sword masters, yeah, they're just going to shred these poor hoplites. Now maybe if these hoplites were spread a bit thinner, make a long line, and then move to outflank or something like that, they'd at least do some more damage. But these sword masters are just going to shred them. And now the berserkers are joining in the fight too. So this is quickly going to get ugly. And these Cretan archers were already trying to pull back to some semblance of safety. So when you see these guys are going to get a lot of fear effects going on too from the berserkers and from getting flanked. So you're going to see, yeah, you got a unit there over half strength already routing. Now over here we've already started engagement, so I might actually kind of go back and show you what happened over here, because we've already missed kind of a key part. Alright, so that's what I'm going to do. Cut you back up in just a minute. As these guys are getting demolished. That's pretty much all you need to know about this fight. Alright, we'll be right back with my side of the battle. Alright, so here we are back on my side of the battle, just about the time that Suebi army is starting its charge. I'm lining up here to go after the Lusitani. Now the advantage he's got on me is all these skirmishers. And this is the army commanded by the other player's screen name was Imperator, and we had just played him in another 3v3, so I had seen enough of what he was doing to respect that he's a capable player. So I'm not going to be too brash here, but I do want to get up, and I don't want this to become a shootout for two reasons. He's got more slingers than I do, and I want to save my slingers to fight all these Parthian cavalry that are still waiting for their opportunity. So I do have cavalry advantage, so I'm going to try to use these cavalry to get a shot at them, or at the very least keep these slingers from getting lots of shots on me. And now Grego did get a few shots in with his Balearic slingers too, which definitely is going to help tip that to our advantage. Meanwhile, I've used these two sword units, these two Gallic hunters, to come out here, and my intention is to get them fighting these two spear units, these Lusitani guerrillas, and the Scutarii spearmen, and then just take my cav units and just take these guys on. So I'm confident that my cavalry can beat his, even though I got messed up on that charge. Those Iberians do have a good charge, and their javelins do get some extra damage. But you see, we're just going to start swarming them here. And some of these spears are getting into me, but these Gallic infantry are going to keep them from getting in with everything that they could. So you see, already these Iberian cavalry are just getting thrashed. So more spears are coming, so I'm going to intercept these Gallic infantry, send the elephants in there. And now, see, as soon as this cavalry pulled out, this unit came back out and took out basically two of his Iberian or Balearic slingers, and then my Carthaginian cavalry just pulled back out, waiting for another opportunity. So now he's continually trying to use these cavalry to help out, but against these elephants, they're not really going to have much of a chance. So with his cavalry dead, and you see how quickly these spearmen rout the moment elephants get behind them. So while that's happening, I'm going to push the line up and try to get an engagement going here. With the Balearic slingers, we're all on the other side of the formation, and even then, they don't have the greatest chance to stop me, but they're better than anything else who's really got in position. So that unit was embraced, didn't even hardly slow my elephants down. They're just going to come smacking through right into this blob, which is just the sort of place that elephants like to be. And just look at these guys. They fly in everywhere. He's trying to use the Balearic slingers to stop him, but really not the ideal unit for this. Better than anything else he's got for it, but not ideal. So while that's going on, I got a bunch of swords, and just one damaged spear unit, so I'm just going to bring in my swords, and my Campanian cav are both going to charge into this mess. And these guys, look at how much damage these units have already taken as fast as they've been engaged. And this one unit of Carthaginian cav that went head-to-head with all those Iberian cav, just going to rush in and start taking on these Balearic slingers that are still left. Alright, so let's go slow motion while all this is happening. These poor Lusitani didn't really stand much of a chance against that. They were already pretty much shattered. Not a whole lot he could do to stop that. Meanwhile, these other two units got caught fighting all my other infantry. So these spearmen are getting completely crushed between a bunch of units of militia, and I got a flank on these veteran spears, or veteran shield warriors rather, with my pikes, while this other one just wards off the Parthian cavalry. So basically Patrick's army is right there, dead on the field. He still has these 3 Cretan archers left, quite a few of them left actually. So he's going to use them to help us fight basically against all this Parthian missile cavalry. Somewhere in the maneuvering, Drago had a couple of his spears come out, either as interference to let these Cretans get by, or just to ward off this cavalry. So now these veteran hoplites and the Samnite warriors here are completely exposed, and they're just going to get swarmed. They got missiles coming in from one side, and they're going to have a whole bunch of Suebi coming in from the other side. And this Campanian cav is gotten isolated out here. And considering they're fighting all these noble blood, you know, they're lucky to still be alive. And now that there's noble blood coming in from behind, they're in pretty significant trouble. So in any case, you see these 2 units are dead. We already know that. Those Campanians are about to be gone. So all I can do is finish off this veteran shield warrior unit here, and just try to quickly as I can. So there they go. And then try to quick as I can reform up here next to Drago to keep these cavalry from flanking us. So there I go, getting that set up. And I'm also going to bring the Gallic warriors in as kind of a reserve. And the cavalry will also act as a reserve. And the slingers are going to come up right behind the infantry so that I can use them to shoot at all this missile cav. Patrick and Drago are getting a little bit aggressive with their missiles. They're kind of far from infantry support. So these scout riders are going to make a run at them. And they're going to get a piece of this Cretan archer unit. But these guys don't have the greatest attack, so they're not going to knock them down too quickly. And we are just going to pull all these missiles back behind the infantry line where these riders aren't going to really be able to get to them. So meanwhile, my elephants are coming across to this side, as they would kind of like to fight these Suebi, since the only missile unit anywhere to be seen is this one unit of longbow hunters. Presumably he took this to use flaming arrows and compound the fear effect of the berserkers and try to cause, you know, mass routes and things like that. And amazingly, those Papaeus Lancers charged into that mess and managed to get back out mostly intact. So anyway, we're trying to create mismatches here, and the elephants is part of trying to create a mismatch on this side. These Night Hunters, despite their bonus versus large, aren't going to be the greatest unit to try to stop. And I've also got a couple of cavalry coming around, since the Suebi cavalry has mostly been destroyed, except for that one unit of Germanic scout riders. So it was one thing that Patrick did do good. He did manage to take out the Suebi noble riders with all of his spears, so that was good. Now the elephants are kind of starting to go down fast, but they're still throwing a mess into these guys. And almost more importantly, they panicked too. Flaming arrows panicked them for sure, but doesn't really matter. I'm already into the middle of his guys. So they're still there, kind of tromping them down. They got a number of kills in there. But the other thing that happened because of this is these guys have now gotten all bunched up. And the elephant's not even done yet. He's coming back for more. So what that has allowed us to do is he's lost all containment. So the Papaeus Lancers are going to run out here and take out these longbow hunters. Not really much he can do about that, except ask Partha to come help him out. He's gotten quite bunched up over here and is making the mistake of trying to shoot it out with foot skirmishers. They're going to take a lot of losses, especially bunched up like this. So then what we're going to do is, before this guy can get back in a proper formation, Drago just charged at him, and we coordinated this attack. So Drago just charged at him, and my Carthaginian cav rather just hit him right in the back. Fortunately, my own dead elephants kind of mucked up the charge a little bit. But still, you see already these sword masters are beginning to waver. They're just completely surrounded. Even my general and the beat-up Carthaginian cav from the other side have gotten into the action. The fire arrows from the Cretan archers are also damaging their morale, so these guys really don't have much chance. Their only hope was to get help from the Parthian player, who's busy trying to work on my infantry over here. So now that's done, and that means all this cavalry and can come back out, and the infantry can kind of form up here, and we can try to trap this Parthian player in. Now he's realized just how much trouble he's in, and he's trying to use his hillmen to push a hole through my Libyan hoplites, which they would do eventually, and he was smart enough not to try to do it through my pikes, because that obviously would not have worked. But this one unit is going to end up fighting my pikes simply because they're too stacked up here. Flaming arrows are kind of affecting everybody's morale, but now I've got these Gallic warriors around to get a nice flank on these Parthian swordsmen, who are not a very strong unit, especially not when flanked like that. Meanwhile, my cavalry's trying to get out here and run these guys off. I got a rear charge coming from those two smallish cavalry units, the general and the damaged Carthaginian cav. So that's pretty much going to rout these Parthian swordsmen in combination with the infantry flank and rear attack. So that's pretty much it for their infantry. This one Parthian sword unit left over here is about to fight my pikes and really has no chance of winning that fight. Now it's just a matter of taking out these darn horse skirmishers. And by this point, this guy had quit. The only guy who was left was Imperator, who didn't even have any units left. You're just kind of watching his team finish it up. He did have that one unit of Balearic slingers left over here, which these Campanian cav just finished off. So that's the only reason this didn't auto end, was because the one guy was still watching. So in any case, my cavalry can't really catch these guys, so what we're just going to have to do is pull the cavalry back behind and force these missiles to come up and shoot it out with our missile infantry, which is a fight they really can't win. So I basically sacrificed this one unit of cav in here, just so I could get the other units back to safety, just in case I needed them later. You never know. And I'm just going to leave this on fast forward, because you're going to see the horse skirmishers are just auto-skirmishing away, because the computer is just going to keep doing that until they're out of ammo. But we're just going to start shooting the general, just little tiny general pieces. Granted, we're in fast forward, but still that unit's dying awful fast. And as soon as the general dies, pretty much everything else mass routes from army losses and the loss of the general. So, yes. I lost not quite 500 guys and had over 3,000 kills. That's a pretty good out for me, although it was kind of a tough break for Imperator, because he was the first opponent I faced head-to-head, and he was basically facing an army that was a hard counter for his. So it's not that he played badly, it's not any of that, although it would have been nice for his allies to help him out. It's just he didn't really have a way to deal with my elephants, especially once I took out most of these slingers. And you see these slingers mostly died with very little damage inflicted. And these Iberian cav didn't accomplish a whole lot either. A couple units, this one got pretty good damage on the charge on my one unit of Carthaginian cav. But as a whole, the cavalry corps didn't accomplish all that much, because I was able to keep the spearmen from really contributing too much to that fight. Speaking of the units that kept the spearmen out of the fight, look at how much damage these two mercenary Gallic warriors did. Not too bad. Over 400 between them. Cavalry also did quite well. Not as good as the Balearic slingers, all over 200 kills. But the star of that battle has to be the mercenary, or I keep wanting to call them mercenaries, the African war elephants. Once the slingers were gone, he simply did not have an answer for the war elephants. They had over 700 kills just for running off the Lusitani army. And then they got another 100 plus charging into the Suebi player here. And of course, Patrick's army more or less got overwhelmed by these Suebi. He wasn't able to get away from them and extend the skirmish fight. But some of his skirmishers did some decent damage. These are the ones that managed to escape and to get some shots in. But you see how many of these units routed with lots of guys left and having not done very much damage. And that's got to be because of the outflanking and the fear effect from the berserkers and the night hunters, as well as the flaming arrows that this guy kept shooting. He was able to keep the cavalry from doing a lot, and actually the cavalry that did the most damage was the Germanic scout riders running around and hitting skirmishers and things like that. Meanwhile, Drago didn't... He had a fair number of kills. A lot of those with the skirmishers, actually. Although companion cav got their share as well. And Payas Lancers did pretty well. They got a bunch of skirmishes at the end. But he was doing his job. He wasn't getting aggressive. He was holding his side. And when you're in the middle on a 3 versus 3, that's what you have to do. You just have to kind of hold your ground. Don't give up that middle ground, because then the other two players have inside flanks that they have to worry about, and that's just asking for trouble. And even though he didn't have the fewest kills or the most losses, one of the big reasons for that loss was the Parthians simply didn't get into the fight early enough. And when they did, these horse archers were shooting head to head against Balearic slingers who were going to beat them 99 times out of 100, even though there's more of these guys. It's just not the kind of fight you want to take. Well, there's more units of these guys anyway. So the Parthian player didn't do enough early to help the battle out. Now, he could have come over and potentially, you know, kept Imperator in the fight if these horse archers had come in, got up to my elephants, giving them heavy shot, things like that. It could have given me a really hard time, especially if all these noble blood cavalry was simultaneously engaging my cavalry force. Things would have become pretty hairy pretty quickly. So, in any case, know your role, take care of it, and support your allies, I guess. In any case, thanks once again to Patrick and Comrade Drago for playing in a 3v3 and a good game to our opponents, Triai, Imperator, and our Baird. Thank you guys for watching. This has been more Rome 2 Total War multiplayer with Southern Wolverine. If you liked the video, please hit the like button below this video, comment, subscribe, and so on. But in the meantime, everybody have a good day.